Jim and I used to talk about it, that Gonzo is just an opportunist, really. Any chicken's as good as any other chicken. As long as it's a hen.
Oh.
And so the chickens don't know any different because they're not that bright. If you've ever spent any time with chickens, they're operating at a baseline. Hey, you gotta love it. So that's the inside scoop on that.
Gonzo,
Yes.
Anything else from your relatives from out in space?
My relatives in space, I'm very confused about that. For years I wondered what I was. I had issues. I admit I had therapy issues on that. And then the movie happened, and I thought, yes, I know who I am now. I know who I am. And then I ran into Frank Oz in New York, and he said, that was just a movie. We still don't know who you are. And I thought, oh my God.
Aww.
Next question, please.
Gonzo.
Yes.
Gonzo, I wonder about your...
Until that gets ironed out, I'm not allowed to go on motorcycles.
Aww.
Yes. Wait, I've got to give other people questions. Wait, I'll come back to you. Anybody else here? There was somebody. There you are.
Influences for your acts. I'm a huge experimental theater fan.
Experimental theater. My great love. Thank you. We'll have dinner and live together after the show. Sometimes some people are originals, and they have no influences. Now, some people call this illiterate. I prefer to say that I'm original. Any more questions? Thanks for coming. It's not like... What?
Gonzo, have you tried jumping the motorcycle at all again recently?
Not recently. I have not done any motorcycle work lately. I have a little trouble with my insurer, so until that gets ironed out, I'm not allowed to go on motorcycles.
Aww.
Yes. Wait, I've got to give other people questions. Wait, I'll come back to you. Anybody else here? There was somebody. There you are. Yes.
One of your performances that has touched me so greatly is I am strolling down memory lane without a single thing on my mind.
Yes.
I think that your deadpan humor there is just brilliant, and I wonder, did you write that sketch yourself?
I did not write that sketch. I don't even know where that came from. They told me to do it, and I did it because I wanted to eat that week. I was starving.
That's inspiration.
Yeah, I don't know where that story or that song is from either. I have no idea where that came from. Why should you? He doesn't even know who I am. I don't want to.
Who was the favorite guest star that you worked with?
My personal favorite guest star?
Yes.
Oh, well, I have a lot. But I would say Spike Milligan. The weirdest ones. Now, you don't even know who Spike Milligan is. He was one of the goons. He along with Peter Sellers and two other guys who did the Goon Show in England, which we've hardly seen here at all. And it was a radio show. And he was a brilliant, crazy guy, sort of like an English Jonathan Winters. And Jonathan Winters was another weirdo that I liked. Yeah. I didn't care for some of the other, normal ones, Jimmy Coco. Yes.
How difficult were the guest stars? I mean, were some of them just real divas? Or?
They were remarkably wonderful. They really were. I mean, that was my first time really performing a lot. We did the first season of the Muppet Show. I was scared out of my mind. All these famous people were coming in the door, and I was going out the other door. I just felt totally unentitled to be in that world. I didn't know what I was doing, and I was scared when I saw them. Danny Kaye walks in. Bob
what do you
Hope walks
do?
in. Alice Cooper walks in. Sylvester Stallone. There were 120 of them, and I was just totally intimidated to be in that world. What was the question? I forgot.
If there were any guest stars that were difficult.
Oh yeah, no. It was the thing that I thought was really amazing was they would walk in and they would make an episode out of air. Certainly, it had been written for about 3 or 4 weeks beforehand, and they might have been consulted on what they wanted to do by telephone before they got to London. And then they got there, and there was a certain amount of flexibility that we still had, even though there was a script already. But basically, each of them came in with their own skill that they could do, and they were just marvelous. They could just do it. Elton John, we sat around the piano. There was this gray, battleship gray, dull chip piano that we rehearsed with, and we all had these little Sony cassette recorders that we got in Japan. They were these beautiful little elegant tiny things that now are archaic. But we had all these little Sonys lined up around the piano, and he did his 3 songs for that show: Yellow Brick Road, Crocodile Rock, and
Penny and the Jets.
Penny and the Jets, yeah. Over and over and over, rehearsing, figuring out who's going to do what at each time, where the shot was going to be, over and over. Private concert, and Elton John was closer than we are, and he can really sing and he can really play. It's not a recording studio trick like it is with me. It was just, I couldn't believe I was there. These moments are just incredible. And all of them, every guest came in. Steve Martin came in. He was brilliant. And we'd been in England and we hadn't seen him. We didn't even know who he was. He showed up.
Oh my goodness.
We were on, what? Do you think this is funny? He's got the arrow in his head. But he was so good. He was just so incredibly good. There were a couple of people who could be a little difficult. I won't even mention names, but not many. Not many. In fact, I can only think of one. If I had to say one, I can think of one right now, but I won't even say that. Yes.
How long did it take for you to be comfortable as a performer, where you could say, "Oh yeah, I'm the thing"?
I think I can do this. About 8 years. Wow. It wasn't until I got into Fraggle about a year and I started thinking, I think I can maybe do this. It's just hard. You have to multitask. There are 8 things to think about at once.
Oh, okay. How does it work?
Oh, I thought you'd never ask. It's used for special occasions.
Okay.
Not very often.
Is it special today?
Is this a special occasion?
Yay!
I guess you paid enough. Let's do it. Okay? I can go. That's the only time I've publicly demonstrated the nose ball. Okay. Any more questions? Yes. The guy in the back first, and then we'll come back to you.
What advice would you
Any
have?
recollections about their hairdos? Well, there was the thing with Jim where the whole chicken thing started. My little ad lib. I'm so proud of. I don't know. I didn't really work with them that much. I mostly worked with Fozzie and Kermit and, Piggy, Scooter, the others, that kind of thing. Yes.
Same question for Dave.
Oh. Favorite memories of Jim? Well, just the playing. I had a wonderful lunch with Jim, and I think it was after Labyrinth came out. And Labyrinth, is another one of those long pictures that took a long time to build and shoot, and then it came out, didn't do that well. And Jim was actually kind of discouraged. He was such an optimist, but he was discouraged by that. And we had lunch in L.A. at the Bel Air Hotel. One day, I just happened to be in L.A. and he was there for something else, and we got together and had lunch. And after we finished, he was feeling, I think, philosophical. He was feeling a little bit at loose ends. He didn't know what he was going to do next and how he was going to, do something successful. And he said, over these years, my favorite part of everything is when we laughed. And I had to agree with him, but it was absolutely true. And what the story meant, what he was referring